This video has been prepared by the Kidney Foundation of Canada to share developments about its approach and redevelopment of its governance and the resulting impact on those who serve within the organization and those who benefit from the work of the Kidney Foundation. The initial work to launch a review of the governance process at the Kidney Foundation was led by Catherine Richardson, who was then president of the Kidney Foundation. Catherine Richardson has said that this policy governance system represents progress for the Kidney Foundation of Canada in terms of clarifying our desired outcomes, focusing our system of accountability, and fine-tuning our various roles throughout the organization. The current chair, Dr. Julian Midgley, is also very committed to leading this change. Here are some of his words about why the information in this video is so important.
Dr. Midgley says, this video focuses on some of the key rationale and design of policy governance at the Kidney Foundation and what we can expect to achieve. It discusses how we will use the policy governance system to enable effective decision-making and collaborative implementation of our go-forward plans. If you have questions about the content of the video, please let us know.
Harvey, what are some of the benefits or advantages that the National Board of Directors hopes to achieve through its new approach to governance?
I think there are several significant advantages to the policy governance approach. First of all, and perhaps most importantly, it provides a disciplined approach to establishing the goals or purpose of the Kidney Foundation. And by that I mean what particular good it's attempting to achieve for whom, at what cost or benefit, at what cost or worth. So the what good can be, what kind of knowledge or research is required, what kind of education, what kind of patient support. It allows us to be as clear as possible about what we're trying to accomplish. Also for whom, where should we focus our attention? Should we focus it on end-stage renal disease? Should we focus it on early stages of renal disease and delaying the requirement for dialysis? Should we work with at-risk populations? These are all choices that are in front of us. And finally, how much should we be achieving for the amount of investment of resources? This is a very structured way of defining what we call our public benefit, what we're trying to accomplish as a foundation. And that's important for a couple of reasons. One, we do have limited resources, and so we have to make some choices about how we deploy those resources. We also have to understand that there are other players in this area, both competitors, other people who are providing support for various kinds of kidney disease or kidney cancer, and we have to determine what our unique contribution is so that we can be clear with those we're asking to support us as to what we're trying to do. So I think that's one of the most significant benefits of the of policy governance.
As we mentioned, in December 2011, the Kidney Foundation of Canada National Board of Directors decided to advance its governance, choosing policy governance as the approach for the future. What are some of the features of this policy governance approach, and why govern through the use of policies?
In December of 2011, we decided to adopt policy governance as our governing framework. And I think there were several important elements of it that seemed to suit our particular need and will suit us going forward. It's a set of principles for governing an organization by means of policies, hence the term policy governance. One of the advantages of it is it provides real role clarity as to what is the role of the governing body, in this case the National Board of Directors. But it also provides some clarity about the role of the operating organization and really establishes a very effective way for communicating between the governance of the organization and the operation of the organization and helps keep clear the roles of the board and the roles of the operating organization so that they're effectively not getting in each other's way but are communicating in a very effective way. So it helps to provide some clarity to the role of the National Board. The board governs by means of establishing policies that reflect the values of the organization and that reflect the governing body, the national board's best assessment of the needs and values of the moral owners of the Kidney Foundation. And there are a variety of policies that it develops. One we've already talked about, the public benefit policy, which defines what we're trying to accomplish as an organization. But there are also policies in relation to how the board should govern its own activity, call these board process policies, as well as policies for defining the relationship between the governing body and the board, say, and the operation. And finally, there are a set of policies that convey to the operating organization the boundaries within which the board wishes them to operate, the boundaries of prudence, of ethical and good practice. So that by establishing these boundaries in this framework and by defining what public benefit the organization is trying to achieve, it really then enables the board to delegate to the operating organization and empower them to accomplish those objectives and to work within those boundaries in the best way that they see fit. So it really helps to clarify what the board should be doing, but also empowers the organization to operate within that without the board getting too actively involved in the day-to-day operation or making decisions about how to get things done. At the same time, policy governance, through a monitoring process, which we'll talk about a little later, is able to check in on the organization and assess with the operating organization how well it's achieving the objectives and how well it's working within the boundaries that were established by the board.
Paul, as the National Executive Director, one of your big challenges, as well as that of all of the branch executive directors and the national office staff, will be how to operationalize this new way of focusing and working. How is the group of people who lead KFOC daily across the country approaching this change, and what's been accomplished so far?
The National Executive Director works with the branch executive directors and the department heads at the national office in a group called the Senior Management Forum. And we've used this change, this renewal of governance at the board as an opportunity to figure out a way to work together as a management team on the operations in a way that we believe will be more effective going forward. So the Senior Management Forum is working together to come to shared understandings of what these board policies mean and shared interpretations that we are using in order to understand what the approach we will use across the country, be that in a branch or in a department at the national office. And we're doing that in a sense as proxies for the branch boards, because although the formal delegation from the national board is to myself and the branch boards, it's not practical to have all of the branch boards come together with me in order to do these interpretations of the national board policies. And so we're doing this at the Senior Management Forum, and I think that we've already shown that we're working well in terms of coming with these shared understandings. Those shared understandings will become, in a sense, de facto national operating policies that we will all work with and that we'll all hold ourselves accountable for in terms of the way we'll work across the country. But we want to keep them as high level as possible, because for us it's important to recognize that the country is a very diverse place. I mean, it's not the same in PEI as it is in downtown Toronto, and so these interpretations or operational policies that we're creating will be sufficient so that we protect the organization and that we don't take undue risk, and that we have enough cohesion and consistency in order to be able to really understand that it's all the Kidney Foundation of Canada. But on the other hand, they'll be open enough and flexible enough to allow us to really reflect the diversity and the variety of situations that exist across the country. We've had some discussions with the branch presidents of the branch boards about how this could work, and we believe that in the vast majority of situations the Senior Management Forum will be able to come to agreements as to how we will interpret these national board policies and how we'll implement them across the country. But we can imagine there'll be rare circumstances. We're a group of peers, we don't have any line authority over one another, so we can imagine there could be situations where it might not be something that we can easily resolve, and so the branch presidents have agreed to work with me as a sort of a problem-solving reflection group that we can take advantage of if necessary to deal with some difficult situations, to make sure that we're able to come together and make a decision and move forward as an organization.
Harvey, some of the Kidney Foundation people listening to this interview are going to be wondering about the impact of all of this change that we've talked about on their own work within the Kidney Foundation. Can you help us by sharing your understanding about how evaluation is going to work at the Kidney Foundation with regard to getting this overall clear focus at the Foundation for what public benefit we're going to achieve, how we're going to line up with that, and how we're going to deal with this issue of accountability?
Karen, I think that's a kind of a multi-layered question, and I'd like to pick up on a couple of pieces of that, and that go beyond just the accountability part of it, but also the delegation part of it, and the kind of the broader sense that one of the things we're doing with our policy governance work is to really try to establish a process by which we can establish shared goals across the Foundation for accomplishing something that no one part of the organization can do by itself. So the whole exercise of defining public benefit, which by the way is a very consultative process, an inclusive process, one where the branches contribute to the development and formulation of those statements about public benefit, is a key part of getting a sense of shared purpose, so that when we are asking for accountability and there is a process of evaluating how well the organization is doing, it's an evaluation against goals that it helped to contribute, to help to shape. Okay, so that's, I think, one important part of it. Secondly, and one of the unique features of policy governance is this principle that the governing body, the National Board of Directors, should define the policy, the public benefit in a consultative way, establish the boundaries within which it wants the organization to operate, but then turns over to the operation, to the key operators, the responsibility for achieving those objectives and operating within those boundaries. And the way that they do this in policy governance is to interpret the policies. So, in effect, it's not the board that's defining success. It defines the values and framework within which success needs to be defined. But it's really up to the organization, both collectively across the Foundation and within each branch, and within the national office and the departments, to define success by interpreting the policy. And so, effectively, the organization is developing its own yardsticks against objectives which it helped to create. Now, it's an important part of the fiduciary responsibility and responsibility to the moral ownership of the board to check in on how well the organization is doing against its own interpretation. So there will be a monitoring process against a schedule. It's annual in the case of some policies, maybe every 2 or 3 years in relation to some other policies. But there will be an opportunity for the board to review at a very high level how well the organization is achieving the objectives and operating within the boundaries of the Foundation. So that's the way that we're going to be monitoring performance. So it's not arbitrary. It's against goals that the organization itself has defined. But it is accountability because an accountability process is essential to an effective operation.
Paul, this is a big change for the Kidney Foundation. What is your biggest hope or expectation for the change in governance and what that will mean for operations?
Okay. Well, the Kidney Foundation has made a tremendous contribution to reducing the burden of kidney disease over the decades. But I sense that there's much more potential out there that we haven't really been able to free up yet. And I'm hopeful that this renewed approach to governance is going to allow us to take advantage of all the creativity that exists out there, all of that latent potential to be able to provide more patient services, to be able to raise more money to fund research and so on. And this will be in part because people will know that within those parameters that Harvey spoke about, people have the ability, they have the authority to be able to act, to be able to do good things, to be able to take advantage of opportunities in their circumstances, in their area, to really be able to do more than we've ever been able to do in the past. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Harvey, this is a really big change for the Kidney Foundation of Canada. Where do you see the biggest benefit for the Kidney Foundation?
Well, I certainly echo Paul's comments regarding the benefit that can be achieved for the operating organization. Obviously Paul has a great deal of interest in the success of the operating organization. I share that interest and see the potential for doing that. I'm really focusing on how the governing organization can best support the changes and achievements that the organization is trying to realize. And to me, one of the first things and one of the biggest benefits of policy governance, it will bring some real discipline to the national board's focus and operations, so that it's clear on what its key deliverables are. It's a responsibility for interpreting the values and needs of the moral ownership. It's a commitment to developing policies that are clear and focused and enable the organization to be effective. It's the discipline to stay out of things it shouldn't get involved in at a level of detail that in the past has been well-intentioned, but has contributed to the confusion about who's responsible for what and who really has the authority to make things happen. So I think it'll provide that discipline, and it'll also give us an opportunity as a board to spend more time looking further out into the future, rather than have its primary role be micromanaging or getting, that's perhaps too harsh a term, getting too involved in day-to-day operations. So I see that as a significant benefit. I think another very important benefit is that, this is a big aspiration, a big hope, that we'll find a much more effective way of engaging the branch boards in the governance of the organization. They have a significant role to play. They've played a tremendous role up till now. It's been primarily around providing very helpful leadership and partnership, each with their own branch, to accomplish tremendous things on a branch-by-branch basis. What we haven't been as successful in doing up till now, I think, is really engaging the branch boards in thinking collectively about what we're trying to accomplish as an organization and how each part of the organization can contribute to that. I think through the engagement of the branch boards in the development of some of these significant policies, as well as their responsibility for participating in the monitoring of performance and compliance, will broaden the understanding of branch boards of the bigger picture of what the foundation as a whole is trying to accomplish. I think we hopefully will provide the mechanisms for making that possible. So those are two, I think, key benefits that I'm hoping we'll achieve through the policy governance process.
Thank you for sharing that passion. I'd like to thank Julian and Harvey and Paul for sharing their careful thoughts about where the organization is going with its governance, sharing their aspirations, and we hope that as this information is shared across the country, that it will generate interest, questions, and we look forward to sharing more information with you.